Rebuilding a Rustproof Land Rover, Part 16. I take my Land Rover to Rossmore Garage for a second time to sort out the problems where a car ramp is needed, such as suspension bushes, engine oil and filter change, and a new spring, plus a hub oil seal and new brake pads, which were problematic mainly because I got the wrong ones. All this happened yesterday, on the 23rd of April 2025. It's 8 a.m. and the weather forecast is for light rain, which is a problem because I don't have a roof, but so far it's looking good. There's no sign of any rain or any clouds. And here is the Land Rover shortly afterwards on the ramp at Rossmore Garage. I'd like to take this opportunity to show you where I am with the painting and what I think about the painting. There are two things to consider. This is a 1971 Land Rover, and I want it to look like a 1971 Land Rover, so it needs tidying up, but I do need to leave some imperfections to show its age and history. I'm painting this thing in my garden, and I'm painting it a panel at a time using rattle cans, very high quality, quite expensive rattle cans. The almost white paint is high build primer, and this stuff is excellent. But underneath it is the original finish. But I figured out that my friend, the late Ken Rowley, shot blasted the entire front of the vehicle to make it look like a rat rod. This is what it looked like when I first bought it, but I knew that underneath this it was good. It's getting there very slowly. I rubbed down the original messy paintwork, which was a variety of colours, and for this I used a Bosch rechargeable battery-powered detail sander, fitted with various grades of quite coarse sandpaper, just to get through the mess. In this clip of the Land Rover on the ramp, you can see that the panels are looking much better. I'm not doing anything about the doors. I'm going to buy some new ones. You've just been watching it going up on the ramp at Rossmore Garage, where today a man called Tom will fit new suspension bushes, new shock absorbers, and basically all the difficult jobs that are not easy to do if you laid underneath it in the garden. This is a shot of the underside from the front, and as you can see, it has coil springs fitted. This started off as a Series 2A MOT failure, and the chassis was beyond repair, so I bought a new galvanised chassis, and I thought it would be a good idea to buy one that would be rust-proof, so I bought a galvanised one. As I've mentioned in previous episodes, I rebuilt this one in 1999. At the time I had another Land Rover which had fitted with parabolic springs, and I didn't like these very much. They were not much better than the normal kart springs, and after a while they started to sag. 26 years later it's come to the stage that I need to change the coil springs as well. I am not exactly a lightweight at 19.5 stones. And sitting over this spring over the years has taken its toll on the strength of the spring. The Land Rover no longer sits level and it's down at the driver's side. The first job of the day is changing the suspension bushes. When I rebuilt this Land Rover, I was very tempted to fit what are called poly bushes, but I didn't. I fitted rubber ones, and they've only lasted 26 years. And the ones at the front really were okay, but we changed those as well. It seemed like a very sensible thing to do. One problem I came up against when I was rebuilding this Land Rover was fitting a Series 3 tank to this chassis. A very good friend of mine cut it out and welded this insert in place, and it's never leaked. This clip shows how useless the underseal was that I sprayed on the Land Rover way back in 1999. You may be puzzled by this image. This is the front part, and you will notice that I fitted military gaiters over the swivels, and over the years I would think that if I took them off, they'd be just as good as they were when I put them on. My other Land Rover had this arrangement, and that was a 1960 Land Rover, and both of the swivel joints were in perfect condition when I had a look at them. Now the Land Rover has new shock absorbers all round. Here are the boxes in the bin to prove it. When I rebuilt this Land Rover, I used copper slip on all the suspension parts. And I was pleased to see that Tom at Rossmore Garage was also using copper grease. Removing the suspension parts was a bit easier than it would have been had I have not used this type of copper grease all those years ago. Here is a shot of the new spring, and I'm puzzled. The new spring is the black one, of course, and it's slightly shorter than the one we took off. But I'm told by the dealer that this is the spring that is supposed to go on the driver's side. Frankly, removing the old shock absorber was more difficult than I thought it was going to be. But with the entire Land Rover chassis sat on a big jack on the ramp, it was slightly easier than it would have been in my garden. Moving across to the other side, leaving Tom to fit the spring, you can see that there's quite a lot of oil on the actual brake disc. That's because the hub oil seal's gone. Meanwhile, Tom's fitted the spring at the other side, and it's looking good. It's been quite interesting watching Tom working on a full-size thing. It's very similar to what I do on the miniatures, but it's a lot harder work, and physically these days I'm really not up to it, particularly laid underneath a Land Rover in all weathers out in the garden. When I measured the Land Rover at each side on the bumper, there was only 1/4 of an inch in it, which is not much over that size. Time now to replace the brake pads. Starting with the front ones, removing the split pins was incredibly difficult. Once we removed the pads and compared them with the ones I'd bought, it was obvious that these were not the right ones. I'd been given the wrong set. Which was odd really, because I took photographs of the originals when I went to the Land Rover place to buy the new pads. Tom removed the entire caliper so he could get the hub off to fit the oil seal. This was a very dirty job. The oil coming out of the hub, coupled with the molybdenum grease from the freewheeling hubs, was incredibly black, and once I got it on my hands, I think I washed them 5 times, but they still looked dirty. Being a professional operation, Rossmore Garage has got really good tooling. The snap-on boxes are huge. Tom dismantled and removed the hub, and I left him to it because I couldn't do anything, and it was very dirty in that area. Fitting the rear pads was a bit easier, but removing the split pins and the pads really was difficult and took ages. Eventually the job was done, and I put the Land Rover back in my garage. And being on my feet for so many hours means that I won't be walking too well for a couple of days. I have a condition called plantar fasciitis, and it's very painful, but such is life. That's it for this episode. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.